Mother Teresa. A name that shines like a soft light in the darkness of the world. When you hear this name, what comes to your mind? For many people, it is the image of a small woman wearing a simple white and blue sari, holding the hand of a dying man on the streets of India. For others, it is the meaning of love, compassion, and true service. Mother Teresa was not a queen, a president, or a billionaire. Yet she became one of the most respected and admired people on earth. Why? Because she lived her life completely for others. She was born far from the streets of India, in a small city in Eastern Europe. But her heart was so big that the pain and suffering of people on the other side of the world called her to serve them. She believed deeply that every single person deserves to be loved and cared for, no matter how poor, sick, or alone they are. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things. But we can do small things with great love." Mother Teresa spent her entire life working for the poorest of the poor. She founded the Missionaries of Charity, an organization that helped thousands of people who were abandoned by society. She cleaned the wounds of sick people no one else wanted to touch. She fed the hungry, comforted the dying, and gave homes to orphans. For her, every person was a child of God, and every act of love was a prayer. In 1979, she received the Nobel Peace Prize, but she didn't keep the prize money for herself. Instead, she used it to help the poor, as she always did. Even though she became famous all over the world, she never changed her simple way of living. She continued to wear her white and blue sari, sleep in a small room, and eat simple food. Fame and awards did not matter to her. Only love did. Today, as we begin to learn about her life, I want you to think about this. What does it really mean to live a good life? Is it about how much we earn, how big our house is, or how many followers we have? Or is it about how much love we give to others? Mother Teresa's life story will show you that true greatness has nothing to do with power or money. It has everything to do with love, kindness, and serving others with a pure heart. Mother Teresa was born on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, a city that is now the capital of North Macedonia. Her birth name was Angeis Gonks Bojaxiou, but everyone called her Gonks, which means little flower in Albanian. She grew up in a loving and deeply religious family. Her father, Nikola, was a successful businessman who cared about the community and often helped the poor. Her mother, Dranophile, was a gentle and kind woman who taught her children to always share what they had with those who had nothing. When Gonks was just 8 years old, her father suddenly died. This left the family in financial difficulty, but her mother remained strong and continued to teach her children the importance of faith and generosity. Every week, her mother would cook food for the poor in their neighborhood, and little Gonks would go with her to deliver it. Seeing the struggles of others opened her heart at a very young age. She attended a Catholic school and was a bright student who loved to read stories about missionaries and saints who traveled far away to help people in need. By the time she was 12, she felt a strong desire in her heart to dedicate her life to God. She didn't just want to pray and go to church, she wanted to go out into the world and help the poorest people, to live among them, and to love them as Jesus did. When she turned 18, she made the hardest decision of her life. She said goodbye to her mother, her brother, her friends, and her city, knowing she might never see them again. She joined the Sisters of Loreto, a community of nuns in Ireland, to begin her journey of becoming a missionary. It was a cold, rainy day when she left home, and her mother said to her with tears in her eyes, "Put your hand in his hand, and walk alone with him." These words stayed with her forever. From Ireland, she was sent to India. There, she took her vows as a nun and chose the name Teresa, after Saint Teresa of Lisieux, the little flower, who believed in doing small things with great love. At first, she worked as a teacher in a school for girls in Kolkata, then called Calcutta. She was happy teaching, but every day she saw the reality of the streets, the extreme poverty, the sick dying on the roadsides, the children with no food or care. Her heart ached for them. One day, while traveling on a train to a retreat, she felt a powerful calling in her soul. She described it as, the call within a call. God was asking her to leave the comfort of her school and go out into the streets to serve the poorest of the poor. That was the moment her real mission began, a mission that would change not only her life but also the lives of millions of people around the world. After receiving what she called, the call within a call, Sister Teresa knew her life could never be the same again. She had been teaching at St. Mary's High School in Kolkata for nearly 20 years. Her students loved her, and she was respected by everyone. But every day, as she walked through the streets, she saw people living in terrible poverty. Sick people lying on the sidewalks, hungry children searching for food in rubbish bins, old people sitting alone with no one to care for them. These sights broke her heart deeply. She went to her superiors and told them she wanted to leave the convent school and go live among the poorest of the poor. At first, it was not easy. The church had rules, and it took almost 2 years to get permission to start her new mission. Finally, in 1948, she left the Loreto convent wearing not the black habit of her order, but a simple white cotton sari with blue borders, the dress that would later become the symbol of her mission. She had no money, no organization, no building. All she had was her faith and her determination to love and serve. She first took a short medical training with the missionary medical sisters in Patna so she could treat the sick. Then she went into the slums of Kolkata, carrying only basic supplies, and began teaching poor children under the open sky. She used a stick to draw letters in the dirt. There were no books, no pencils, no classroom, but the children came running to learn from this kind woman who smiled at them when no one else did. Soon, she began visiting the homes of the sick and dying. She cleaned their wounds, washed their bodies, fed them rice with her own hands, and prayed with them. She gave dignity to people who had been left to die on the streets like animals. Her compassion attracted others. Some of her former students joined her, becoming the first members of what would later be called the Missionaries of Charity. Together, they opened their first small home for the dying in 1952, called Nirmal Hriday, meaning pure heart. It was a place where people who had no one in the world could die with dignity, love, and care. Mother Teresa believed that the greatest poverty was not hunger or sickness, but the feeling of being unwanted, unloved, and alone. She once said, "The most terrible poverty is loneliness, and the feeling of being unloved." Her mission was simple, to see the face of God in everyone she met, and to treat each person with love, no matter how poor, dirty, or sick they were. Her small act of love in the slums of Kolkata grew into a worldwide movement. Volunteers from all over the world came to work with her. More homes were opened, not only in India but in many countries. The Missionaries of Charity became a beacon of hope for the forgotten and rejected people of society. And it all started with one woman, who chose to step out of her comfort zone and listen to the call in her heart. Mother Teresa's work with the poor was not just a job or a charity project, it was her entire life, her deepest prayer, and her way of loving God. Every morning, she and her sisters woke up before sunrise to pray and meditate. Then they went out into the streets of Kolkata, searching for people who needed help. Their daily mission was simple, to serve the hungry, the sick, the lonely, and the dying, and to do it all with love. In 1952, when she opened Nirmal Hriday, the home for the dying, many people criticized her. They said she was only helping people die, not solving the problem of poverty. But Mother Teresa knew that what people needed most in their final days was dignity and love. She said, "We are not here to be social workers, we are here to be contemplatives in the heart of the world, to bring God's love to the people we serve." She believed that each person deserved to die feeling loved, like a human being, not like an abandoned animal on the street. Over the years, she expanded her work. She opened homes for orphans, schools for poor children, clinics for lepers, and shelters for homeless people. Her Missionaries of Charity grew from just a few sisters to thousands, with centers in more than 100 countries. Everywhere they went, their simple white and blue saris became symbols of hope. But life was not easy for Mother Teresa. She faced criticism, political attacks, and misunderstandings. Some people accused her of using poverty for fame, others criticized her strong Catholic beliefs. But she never let these voices stop her. She continued her mission with humility and strength. She said, "If you are humble, nothing will touch you, neither praise nor disgrace, because you know what you are." In 1979, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. When she traveled to Norway to receive it, she refused the traditional banquet dinner and asked that the money be used to feed the poor in India. Her speech was simple but powerful. She spoke about the importance of loving the person next to you, of smiling, of reaching out to those who are lonely. She reminded the world that peace begins with a smile. Even in her old age, when her health was failing, she continued working. With her wrinkled hands and tired eyes, she still washed wounds, hugged dying children, and prayed for people with all her heart. For her, the poor were not charity cases. They were Jesus himself, hidden in suffering bodies. She said, "I see God in every human being. When I wash the leper's wounds, I feel I am nursing the Lord himself." Mother Teresa's life was a life of service, total, selfless, and pure. She gave everything she had, every day of her life, for people who had nothing. And in doing so, she showed the world that true happiness does not come from having more, but from giving more. Mother Teresa passed away on September 5, 1997, at the age of 87. Her funeral was attended by presidents, kings, and thousands of people from all over the world, but the ones who missed her the most were the poor, the dying, the orphans, the homeless, people whose lives she had touched with her love. Even after her death, her legacy continues through the missionaries of charity, who still work today in over 130 countries, caring for those no one else wants to care for. In 2016, she was declared a saint by the Catholic Church. But to millions of people, she was always a living saint. Her face, lined with wrinkles and shining with kindness, became a symbol of compassion, service, and pure love. She showed the world that greatness is not about fame, power, or money. True greatness is about humility, about seeing others before yourself, and about serving without expecting anything in return. Mother Teresa taught us that we don't need to do big things to make a difference. She said, "Not all of us can do great things. But we can do small things with great love." Imagine what the world would look like if each of us chose to do small acts of kindness every day, helping someone carry their bags, giving food to a homeless person, listening to a friend who is feeling sad, smiling at a stranger. These small acts, done with love, create ripples that can change the world. Another lesson from her life is about seeing dignity in every human being. She treated lepers, dying people, and abandoned children with the same respect she would show a king. For her, every person was created in the image of God, and therefore deserved to be loved. She once said, "The hunger for love is much more difficult to remove than the hunger for bread." Finally, Mother Teresa's life teaches us about courage. It takes courage to leave your comfort zone, to give up your own dreams and live for others. It takes courage to love people who can never give you anything back. But she showed that such courage brings true happiness, a happiness that is deeper than anything money or success can buy. As you finish listening to her story today, think about how you can apply her lessons in your own life. You may not be able to go to India and care for the poor, but you can start by loving the people around you, forgiving those who hurt you, and serving in small ways with a pure heart. Remember her words, spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. Mother Teresa's life was a light in the darkness. May her story inspire you to become a light for someone today.